but the PXN V9 Generation 2 is compatible with many different systems. So first of all, it comes with the compatibility for PC, PlayStation 3 and 4, the Xbox One and the Xbox Series. On the box you can just actually see that this thing is complete, like with the first generation of, let's say, the Logitech racing wheels that we have seen before. However, how is the quality and is it any fun? Complete with pedals and handbrake option, and of course having a complete shifter kit. Something that we did see with different brands, and PXN, even with the budget models, do have this option, and that's kind of cool. And also it comes with a Hall effect sensor, so it's going to be overall, let's say, a better experience with using the gear. And over here we're having a racing wheel, and the wheel itself does have some interesting features, having with one button to shift to 27 or 900 rotation degrees. But when it comes to the V9, it's already the Generation 2. Beside that we do have different auto models already mentioned before, and those are more expensive but also more deluxe. So this is like a budget solution. Another thing is we do have a lot of different wheels from different brands, and I don't really know at this point where it's going to be fitting in. But let's do a quick unboxing together and let's see if the overall quality is the same, or at least almost the same like the Logitech wheels and some other wheels from Thrustmaster. So let's do a little bit of unboxing over here, having the shifter, suction knobs, the racing wheel itself, and over here we're finding all the other parts. We're having the special, let's say, clamp for the wheel itself, and some other gear and USB cables. And then of course, last but not least, we're having the pedals. And the pedals are only partly made from metal, so that's kind of cool. The first thing I noticed is there is no power supply. And that is simply to do because this thing doesn't have force feedback. And that's one of the reasons I have a little bit of a doubt about the overall gaming experience with this. It's not always going to be bad, but it's going to be a little bit more old school. Think about the old school Mad Catz racing wheels. And that is one of the things. Do you really want to have force feedback? No, maybe this can be like the ultimate racing gear solution then. But let's do a quick overview of the racing wheel and what I think of the overall quality. This is not comparable with the Logitech G25 and all the other series. It's a combination of plastic or hard plastic, and on the side of the wheel we're having the rubber grip that feels quite nice. In the middle of the wheel we're getting all of the function buttons, and the function button, for example, having here to share, options, mode, programmable buttons, the D-pad, the ABXY buttons, and all the other function when you're going to be finding on the normal, let's say, controller. At the back we're finding shifters, and I love these things. However, you can see that there's a lot of room before you're getting the click. And they're micro switched, but if you don't like the wiggle room behind it, then there's going to be a little bit of a problem. And this is absolutely different between different racing wheels too. The body itself, it's quite nice, of a say, in weight and the way of the construction. And it's also very stable, and with the suction knobs, this is another way to assemble it. However, the overall design looks quite nice. And the weight of the wheel is also quite heavy. At the bottom part we do have two ways of assemble the racing wheel itself. And the first way is the suction knobs, and this is a very old school but a very reliable way. But we also have these things. And the hooks, they can be assembled on the wheel itself. If you want to do a different configuration, we can just actually slide it in and assemble it to the table like that. So there are two of them, and the overall construction is quite good. I find it interesting to see what kind of overall, let's say, connections we're having, and they are all using is USB-C. That's the first time I've seen that. So extra, shifter, pedals. This is for connection with the PC or console, and over here the input for, it seems to be, a controller. The V9 Gen 2 only uses 5V 80 mA, and as I mentioned before, there is no input for a power supply whatsoever. The pedals, that is also a different situation that we have seen with Logitech. The reason I'm comparing it with Logitech because it's one of the wheels I use very often. So first of all, when you're looking at the design, it's quite nice. Absolutely, the metal is just very cool and gives it a little bit of a more deluxe feeling. However, you have like this situation we've seen before with the Hori wheels that we can just flip this over, open, and we have like a full-size pedal. The biggest downside I did notice with the pedals, so it's not a different, let's say, the heights they're using. The position is different. You can see it over here that the acceleration, or the one of the lift over here, is completely different in the height but also the position. But when it comes to the usage of it, it's the same resistance. And that's also a little bit disappointing when it comes to that, where the Logitech wheels do have different springs that we can adjust. Construction wise, it uses, let's say, not like the deluxe situation like Logitech, and I'm keep referring to that. Logitech had this, like, say, basic pedal with a lot of cool features, and even have the option for carpet, let's say, resistance with a special part of it. This is not like going to be a thing over here. We do have a lot of different, say, rubberized feet over here. So if you're going to be putting this on a surface, think about the desk overall. For just giving you an example, it feels quite sturdy, and moving it, it's not going to be happening anytime soon. The shifter is a very cool addition if you're going to be even caring about it. You cannot use it and just play automatic if you want to, but it comes with a lot of features. So when it comes to the cover over here, it is made out of flexible rubber, and yeah, it feels like not cheap. It gives a little bit of a basic touch to it, where some of the manufacturers even using real fabric. But beside that, the feel is a very short shifting base. So that is absolutely great. Over here having some extra function buttons, and the connection, what I mentioned before, is the USB-C. We can clamp it down to the desk, and that is what we're going to be doing today. And it also comes with some rubber feet to give this thing an extra grip. So it's very cool, a very nice shifter. Maybe not the best one out there, but the complete kit is kind of cool when it comes to this particular model. I decided to assemble the wheel for, let's say, a normal, let's say, clamp way, where I love these suction knobs. I'm not going to be using them. So they're super easy to remove, which you can just actually see over here. So that's why we're going to be doing it. And then we're going to be using the clamp design, I've already shown you before. And this is going to be so much more cooler. Okay, so let's see, I'm guessing I need to do something like that. Oh, nope, I had a brain fart. And that's it. Slide it in. And we're ready to go. Yes! The only problem I'm having with this design is that it's quite, let's say, actually a height. So it's possible if you're going to be using it like me on the desk, you're going to be bumping your knees into it. So that is something they should improve, having shorter, maybe have a less, let's say, option to do the thickness of the desk. But this is one of the things they should absolutely improve. How about the rotation mode? That is quite easy. Underneath we're finding a tiny switch over here. If you're going to be switching it to the other part, you can just see it will lock the system to a certain rotation. So now we have like the full motion. But if you're going to be putting it in different rotation, like the 270 or 2700, we can only lock it and use it to a certain point. So first, let's start off with the basic mode, and later on we're going to be using the 900 degrees. What is kind of interesting, if you're going to be connecting this to a PlayStation, if you want to be connecting this to your machine, so what you're going to be needing to do is connecting a PlayStation 4 controller, and the same goes for Xbox. So it's more like spoofing the system, I love to call it. We have seen it before with the arcade stick of PXN, and it's still using the same technology. But let's see how the overall compatibility is with the gaming. Does it have like a negative overall input? So let's start off with some Gran Turismo, and what is kind of cool that this thing does have a rumble inside. Where this thing doesn't have any force feedback, the rumble motor is quite aggressive, and it's absolutely a lot of fun. And that makes it a little bit more of a deluxe feel when it comes to the wheel itself. I've been putting it on the 270 degrees, and you can see that it is very accurate, and thanks to the short overall experience and a combination with the spring, playing some Gran Turismo is a lot of fun. So when actually steering in, it's quite aggressive, and you can just feel already shaking. But let's switch out a couple of things. Let's get into the different rotation mode and just reset everything. So next up, we're going to be looking into the other mode. Okay, so I know in particular when the 900 degrees. Now we do have like a slightly different experience when it comes to this. It's more realistic, so it's kind of cool that they implemented this on the racing wheel itself. It doesn't change out the rumble function whatsoever. It's still that aggressive like it was before. But steering, I don't notice any dead zone of problems with this. So that's absolutely awesome. So the brakes also work fine, the input no problem whatsoever. So the next thing I wanted to do is see how the overall, let's say, shifter works and see if this is any fun. So what is a very cool thing, you can just see when I'm accelerating or braking, it's going to have LEDs showcasing how much force you're going to be putting onto the pedals. So that's something I've personally never seen before. And it's quite accurate because it also shows on the screen itself. So with the PlayStation 4, I did notice even everything has been connected. The game has been, let's say, powered on. So you can just actually see pressing the Mo button. It just works like it should be. But getting into the game, somehow, the weird part is that there's nothing going on over here. But how about if you want to play full simulation with 900 degrees and the shifter? So the shifter doesn't do anything if you're not touching the clutch with Gran Turismo. So we're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you want to have like in reverse, pushing it down, and then we're having reverse. However, if you're going to be acceleration, it's quite difficult. I noticed like you need to be lifting the clutch very carefully. And you can just see it barely does anything, and I've been struggling to do so. Maybe this is more because I'm just a massive noob in this, but somehow my clutch is not registering anything. So before that I couldn't drive away, but you know, that part I don't really like when it comes to this, let's say, simulation thing going on. So after a couple of times, now it goes, see, that's what I think, like, you need to use the clutch on the right way, and then we're going to be having the option to actually drive. But I've been using this with Logitech, and it works way more, let's say, convenient. It had a little bit more feeling to it. Actually, I'm driving, everything seems to be working just fine, so that's kind of cool. But so far so good. But I think that the biggest problem I'm having is when I'm starting to drive away. Yeah, then I'm going to be having a little bit difficulty. It can be me, but the overall experience, it's okay. So for me, if I wanted to have to use if I were going to be playing Gran Turismo, I would not even use the shift. I would just put it on automatic. But the overall driving experience is quite nice. The rumble function and the spring and inside, and just the overall, let's say, steering wheel quality feels quite nice. So after some attempts I managed to drive off, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. Not the part that you're going to be needing the clutch to basically shift between different gears, but it is more the problem of driving away. I don't have any feeling or feedback with it. So I was just very carefully like lifting up for like, let's say, a centimeter when it comes to the clutch, and after that I managed to drive away. So the overall experience is quite positive. I love the rumble function, the way how the wheel is, just the overall quality, the feel, where this thing is fully made out of plastic, which is a little bit of a rubber. Also the feel itself, you're going to be wiggling it around. It feels quite okay. It's quite sturdy when it comes to the overall quality. And next to getting the hang of the freaking clutch with this game, it's a lot of fun. Throughout the video I've been showcasing all kinds of, let's say, things I didn't like about this device. However, if you don't want to have like a very deluxe expensive wheel, just something basic with a little bit of a rumble function, this is actually quite a good overall racing wheel experience. However, the shifter, it's cool that it is with it. It seems to be working just fine, only I couldn't get this clutch thing going on, or at least with Gran Turismo. However, it depends what kind of game you want to play. For now, I think it's a kind of cool wheel, but it has like a little bit of a downside to win left or right. Thank you all for watching, and it will be great to see you in the next video.